Stepping out of the civil affairs office, Noah flung a 5 million won card my way. These last 3 years, you've been super obedient and smart. Think of this as a little reward. You're so tight with your money, this should last you forever. And hey, even though I'm undeniably charming, don't catch any fantasies. We're divorced now, so no sneaky moves. They won't fly. Got it? I gave a silent nod and turned away, realizing he had nothing more to add. Nothing else you want to spill? I'm rushing to book a private room. I shook my head, but he cleared his throat. Well, we were married. You look kinda helpless. I'll hook you up with a job. What did you study? A club and a few other high-end spots, he said, showing the confirmed reservations. I also called 10 handsome guys and 5 with killer voices from the group. Busy, I replied absent-mindedly, acting cool. Earlier that morning, after my energetic husband Noah had exhausted me, he lit a cigarette by the bedside. How many years have we been married? I dug through the drawer for his tie. Today's our 3rd anniversary. Yeah, that's about right. He nodded. I'll pick a time and we'll get the papers sorted. I flinched as a watch fell on my foot from the drawer. The papers he mentioned were divorce papers. Noah shot me a sideways look, his shirt half open, revealing his strong chest. With that and the cigarette, he looked pretty relaxed. Can't let go, he smiled. I kept my head down and didn't say anything. Noah casually stubbed out his cigarette. Remember the prenuptial agreement? Party A can end things anytime and Party B can't object. Thinking about it, I pinched myself hard. He saw and laughed. Can't let me go, if you begged. I threw myself at him, crying enough to soak his expensive shirt. Noah's got the looks, skills, wealth. Top tier. But that's not why. The real reason? I was just too thrilled. I would have laughed if I hadn't pinched myself. For 2 weeks, I couldn't eat or sleep stressing over this. Noah's always the one ending things, never me. If I tried to bring it up first, he'd crush me like nothing. Eventually, Noah grew impatient and pushed me away. That's enough. You've been obedient these years. I won't let you down. I nodded, fully aware that over the years, I was just someone he married to handle some issues. As long as I stayed in line, I'd get my salary on time, and if I did well, bonuses would double. In 3 years, I saved 20 million. Seriously, who wouldn't appreciate such an easy gig? But it was just a temporary job. I'm aging and need something stable for later. Noah didn't mention it, but I was already counting the days. Lost in thought, I drifted away. Let's set it for next Wednesday. Get ready and keep it on the down low for now. I'll release a news announcement then. Being the model's subordinate, I nodded earnestly to my boss to show I was on board. Satisfied, he changed into a fresh shirt and strutted out, all proper. Being a trophy wife never cut it for me. I often took on side gigs to make extra cash. One of these hustles was managing a social media account. Elite circles are like the ocean, deep and full of gossip. Being close to it all, I constantly gathered rumors and selectively leaked them. Over time, my account grew, and a few small content creators teamed up with me. As soon as I logged in, a small creator hit me up. Mia, breaking news. I happened to open the news. An image popped up showing a tall man in a black suit with long fingers and a woman in a stylish red dress hugging. Their faces weren't clear, a romantic scene. But wait, that guy looked oddly familiar. The small creator sent another message. The chairman of Stars Corp, the chairman, Noah. I replied, oh, not a big deal. Wait, who's seeing that handsome face? My heart sank. Isn't it my 6'2", broad-shouldered, narrow-hipped husband? I quickly called back, stopping all the news and asking someone to check all channels where this was still circulating. It cost me a few $100,000 and a whole morning. But once everything was cleared, I slumped back on the couch, exhaling deeply. Phew, good thing I acted fast. Otherwise, if Star's stock tanked, how would I survive? Just 5 minutes into my break, my phone buzzed again. I grabbed my high-end iPhone, 16 Pro Max Noah bought me, and nearly tossed it away. Noah texted, bring your documents, come to the civil office, divorce. Oh wow, he's in a rush, got a new girl, mind all preoccupied. Perfect for me. I rushed out, and Noah's crew were already waiting at the door. On the way, Lily, my bestie, heard about the divorce and added 10 handsome dudes to a group chat, planning a night out. I dropped $1,000 as a tip in the chat. After the tip was claimed, someone started flexing their abs, and soon everyone joined in, the screen filled with abs making me laugh in the back seat. Ryan, the assistant, turned back to ask, "Aren't you gonna divorce Noah? Why are you so happy?" I stiffened, sitting up straight. "I'm just too sad," I said, using laughter to mask my sorrow. He nodded sympathetically. "Noah is just being unreasonable. No need to throw a divorce drama. We tried talking him out of it last night, but he wouldn't listen." There was nothing I could say, not wanting to get into it either. "Don't be too upset. Noah is brilliant, but we know plenty of talented young guys besides him. We can introduce some to you." I feigned hesitation. "Wouldn't that be improper?" Ryan frowned slightly. "What would be improper?" I cut him off. "Let's do it then." Ryan stayed quiet. After finishing my ab workout, I tossed a 1,000 ween tip, and the group chat started buzzing with voice messages. Just as I was about to play them, Ryan gave me a heads up. "Ma'am, we're here." I glanced out the car window. Noah was still wearing the shirt I picked out for him that morning. He was sitting on the steps of the marriage registration office, furiously puffing on a cigarette. When he saw me, he walked over and opened the car door for me. No one could fault him in these aspects. To outsiders, we looked like a perfect match. It happened faster than I expected. I nodded politely. Mr. Noah." Both Ryan and Noah frowned. Noah took a deep breath and half smiled at me. "You're distancing yourself pretty quickly, huh? Honestly, I wanted to say we were never that close, but I didn't dare because I still hadn't received the rest of my payment, so I had to laugh it off. Just getting used to it a little early." After a moment, he turned and headed up the steps. "Smart move." Ah, there it is, showing his true colors. Inside the office, the lady stated, "There's a 1-month cooling off period for divorce. Sign here if you agree." I only remembered the cooling off period now. I quickly signed, but when it was Noah's turn, he seemed lost in thought. I nudged him. "Mr. Noah." He snapped back and signed swiftly. We stepped outside, and I stood at the bottom of the steps. "I'll pack up and be gone soon. Whenever you're ready to finalize the divorce in a month, just hit me up." Noah didn't reply immediately. After a beat, he fumbled in his pocket and handed me a card. The gesture felt both superior and casual. "I appreciate your obedience and sensibility these past 3 years. Think of this 5 million as a reward. You're so frugal, it should last you a lifetime. And hey, although I am quite charming, don't get any ideas. Divorce means we're through. Don't try anything sneaky. It won't work. Understood?" Looking at the card, I was thrilled, but kept my excitement in check. "Sure thing, Mr. Noah." Honestly, I wanted to thank him, but he's the type who prefers less fuss. So I just took the money and turned to leave. As I walked away, I started booking at some luxury spots. With 10 handsome guys on my list, I grabbed a few voice actors too. Money talks, and those appointments filled up quickly. Not far down the road, I noticed footsteps behind me. Turning around, Noah was right there, barely an inch away. Startled, I leapt back. In that split second, Noah reached out, wrapping his arm around me and pulling me in. Our breaths mingled as I was still shaking when suddenly, my phone blared a loud voice message. Sis, when are you coming? I've been waiting forever." I didn't know, but some chat apps have an autoplay feature for voice messages. When they started pouring out one after another, Noah's face mirrored the vibrance of the colorful flowers by the registration office door. Embarrassed, I quickly turned off the audio, my hair standing on end as I smiled once that was done. Ready to leave, Noah grabbed my arm, his voice low. "Are you seeing someone else?" I quietly pulled my arm away. "I've got things to do. Leaving now, Mr. Noah." He didn't hold on tight, seeming resigned. "Betraying me, huh? Please, throwing money at me is one thing, but don't slap me with unfounded accusations." I stopped, ready to set things straight. "No, it's just a cousin I haven't seen in a while. Catching up later." Noah squinted through a puff of smoke, my heart raced, but then it hit me. We were divorced. What am I scared of? After lighting another cigarette, Noah seemed to switch topics. "I'll be generous and offer you a job. What's your major?" I smiled. "I studied acting." Noah looked stunned. Ryan swaggered over, carefree, chiming in. Acting's great. I always said Mam's got a face for the movies. Mesmerizes everyone. Sure should go into acting. He nudged Noah. Didn't you just invest in some film project? Throw some resources Mam's way? Wait, this is a thing? They say it's foolish not to take advantage of good fortune. So playing it up, I gave Noah the puppy eyes. Noticing my gaze, Noah took a long drag from his cigarette and chuckled. We'll see. Whatever you take it with humility. Times have changed. Noah used to indulge my every request, but now that we're divorced, I can't take things for granted. Before heading off, I gave Noah a polite wave, unsure if he saw. When the cab I called pulled up, I didn't hesitate. Jumped right in. With just the essentials packed, I left the villa and settled down. When dusk hit, I hailed another ride to Cheeky. Lily, my best friend, had already gathered a crowd there. As I pushed through the door, it was a flashy, bustling scene. Lily spotted me, her eyes sparkling. She nudged the cute guys around her. What are you standing there for? Sis, sis, sis. More than one, multiple voices. Clear, deep, youthful, nostalgic. So many choices. Honestly, life without Noah feels way too good. With glee, tears of joy welled up in my eyes. Lily yanked me a bit, looking all annoyed. It was right during a music break. She's a soprano in a choir and has a voice that can cut through anything. Why are you crying? It's just Noah, right? Big deal. He's tall, rich, and handsome. Look at you. How can you be such a mess? I shook my head, didn't say a word. Half laughing and half crying, I pulled out a big wad of cash from my LV bag, handed out a few $100 to everyone, and kicked off my fabulous party night. Great food, awesome drinks, hot guys all around. After a while of partying, I felt kind of tired and signaled to Lily. Going out for some fresh air, Cheeky's up on the 80th floor. The view is amazing. Watching fireworks from up here, I suddenly felt a bit emotional. Life was so good now. Thinking of the past used to make my heart ache. I took a deep breath and was about to turn around when someone suddenly draped a jacket over me from behind. I turned around, and wouldn't you know, it was Jack, the most dashing guy from the office with that CEO vibe. This kid sure knows the drill. Before I could even thank him, I heard familiar footsteps and a voice rounding the corner. See, I knew she couldn't let me go. She's crying. I bet if I... It was Noah, an old acquaintance. The minute they reached us, Jack pulled me in even tighter. Noah's words weren't even out in full when he saw Jack and me looking all cozy. Both of them froze. Ryan, next to him, rubbed his eyes. Noah, am I drunk or is wifey there all huggy-huggy with some handsome dude? Talk about running into your nemesis. Never thought I'd bump into Noah here? I instinctively wanted to say hello. Hadn't realized until that moment that, yeah, we finalized the divorce this afternoon. I nodded at Noah with a smile. Mr. Noah. Noah stayed silent, his eyes kind of reddish, whether from drinks or something else. But Ryan chimed in first, stuttering, Whiff, wifey, it's really you and this. This guy is... I was stuck on how to explain. This is I'm her friend. Who might you be? A deep voice cut in, throwing me off. Noah snorted, then smiled coldly, eyeing me intensely. I felt a chill down my back. Your family runs a tea business? Jack looked utterly confused. Nope. Well, go start one. I'll fund it. Jack gave me a puzzled look. I could only smirk. You're gifted in that niche? Jack was speechless. The second most venomous thing in the world is the king cobra. The first is Noah's mouth. Honestly, I was worried. He just wanted to prove our marriage was squeaky clean during our time together. Before I could even finish, the Mr. Noah, he interrupted as he brushed past me, all cool with his hands in his pockets. Don't even bother explaining. I'm not interested. As he walked away, he turned back sarcastically. Sister? I couldn't believe it. Handsome guys even make walking look cool. And Noah's little windy act had me closing my eyes. Coming back to reality, he was already around the corner. Ryan gave me a smile, awkwardly following Noah, leaving Jack and me exchanging glances. How did I not see his passive-aggressive side before? Back at the pool, Lily came over. Hey, guess who I just saw? I answered without missing a beat. My cheap ex? Oh, wow. Lily looked surprised. Man, really? What are the odds? It was a big deal. Sort of, I said, so I downed a drink. Totally, I added. But hold up, something even juicier. Look behind you. I turned around, almost snapping my neck, and locked eyes with Noah. So intense, I shivered. Lily asked, "What's the drink?" As I said that, my eyes darted to the person next to Noah. Could you believe it? I moved on, yet he stuck to his old flame. He even dared to bring out that rumored girlfriend. Spending so much of my money on him this morning pisses me off. I gulped down 2 more drinks, and Lily tried to warn me. That stuff is pretty strong. I waved her off. I can handle my liquor, never been drunk. An hour later, I vaguely heard someone say, "Let me take Mia upstairs." It's well known I'm super cautious. I immediately gave my address like clockwork. I live at Tiangong 1. Take me back. To Tiangong 1? Tiangong 1 is a spaceship, Mia. Tangong 1. Tangong 1 is my home. Jack pulled me back. Tangong 1 isn't your place either, Mia. Feeling tipsy, I sensed the elevator was going up. It is my place, all mine. I started to pitch a fit, mumbling all the way. The elevator came to a halt. When the door opened, I thought I saw Noah. Noah? No answer. Jerk. My brain, no answer, jerk. My brain wasn't keeping up, still muttering, Tangong 1, Tangong 1. It's my home. Someone laughed, and it damn well sounded smug. You say Tangong 1 is your home? I felt heartbroken. Yes, exactly. It's my home. I love Tangong 1 so much, but Noah won't sell it to me. I really love that house. A successful person's dream residence next to beautiful waters, opposite a street of handsome celebrity neighbors. Someone seemed to laugh again, but I couldn't catch who it was. I drifted into a stupor. The next morning, I saw breakfast on the table. My brain froze for 2 minutes, realizing, did I bring Jack back last night? That thought made me feel like I was in an ice bath. Feeling confused, I shakily texted Lily. Did I bring Jack back to sleep last night? And he bought me breakfast? 5 minutes passed, no reply. 10 minutes? Still no reply. 15 minutes later, Lily finally responded. How did you get home yesterday? Was Jack with you? I can't remember a thing. Suddenly, I broke into a cold sweat. Staring at the conversation with Noah, I realized, damn, wrong person. After 5 minutes of hesitation, I messaged back, sorry, wrong person. 10 minutes later, he replied with 4 words, playing hard to get. Soon, another message came in. If you miss me, just say it. I won't blame you. Trying to make me jealous, I decided to skip past this. A woman with big plans doesn't sweat the small stuff, so I didn't reply to Noah. I messaged Lily about checking out a studio that afternoon. Money doesn't grow on trees, gotta make it work. Little did I know fate was stepping in. The collaborator was the woman from Noah's photo. Even though the photo didn't show her face, the red dress, long curls, and distinctive bracelet on her wrist were all undeniable. She sat across from me, sunlight pouring in, extending her hand with a bright smile. Long time no see, Mia. Her voice pulled me back to long-lost memories of Columbia University days. The years of reckless living seemed forgotten, but right then, the memories ignited. Some things in life happen without reason, but sometimes there's a pattern. If it was Harvey, everything made sense. Lily nudged me, so I awkwardly reached out, forcing the words through my throat. Long time no see? Neither of us was sentimental. We wrapped up the studio rental discussion in half an hour. As we left, Harvey called out, Mia, have these 2 years treated you well? I simply nodded. Do you blame me for the rumors a few days ago? In a sense, I didn't really have the right. But my wallet did. No, but I handled the PR. If you're feeling guilty, just transfer me $100,000 or Noah can pay me back. Harvey's eyes widened, caught off guard by my bluntness. Soon my account showed a $200,000 transfer. Not bad. I was about to leave when she stopped me. Back then, I was young and impulsive, never realizing Noah was so devoted. After all this time as his wife, have you never felt a thing for him? Then, almost wistfully, she added, he's a good man. From the window, I saw Jack with Lily heading up. They probably got tired of waiting. Next to the window sofa lay Noah's suit. I remembered it well. It was one of the few gifts I gave him to thank him last year. No, I said. Barely finishing my sentence, I turned and saw Noah's handsome face. I hadn't realized he was there, and his cigarette had burned out. Lily's and Jack's chatter brought me back. Jack naturally took what I was holding, tidying my hair along the way. Harvey glanced at Jack beside me with an enigmatic smile. Boyfriend? I was about to shake my head, but Lily sarcastically chimed in, Harvey has a keen eye. Not sure who she meant. Harvey was quick to reply, Really? Then, best wishes to you two. Let's arrange dinner sometime. Harvey's arm casually looped through Noah's. Noah didn't move or reject. Casually, he shifted his gaze from me to Harvey. I might not have time next time. Squeezing to be with you is enough. The afternoon sun was dazzling. Jack grasped my hand. Let's go. In the elevator, Lily clicked her tongue. Do you think those two were up to something behind your back? Suddenly, the air felt dense and I gasped for breath. Who knows, it's nothing to do with me. After running around all day, I finally started tidying up at night. Opening the suitcase, I found some of Noah's things. Sitting on the couch, I felt lost. I picked up my phone, thinking of calling Ryan for help. But unexpectedly, a call came in first. Before I could answer, I heard a loud voice. Heartless woman. She really found someone else behind my back. I treated her so well all these years, and she ran off with someone else so fast. Why does my head feel so heavy? Check if there's grass growing on it. Look for grass, quick. She lied to me. I'm so pathetic. I was beyond annoyed and hung up, then redialed. This time, silence. Ryan cautiously asked, Mia? I replied with a simple, he sounded relieved. Can you come get Noah? He won't leave no matter what we say. I replied, I'm already in bed. Want Harvey's number? The other end paused. Harvey is... I nodded slightly, rummaging through a few pairs of Noah's underwear in my suitcase. They felt a bit too hot to touch. His new flame? Old love? Couldn't quite find the right word. Ryan blinked this time. After a moment, he said something about being sorry and hung up. Long after the call ended, I raised my head to see my reflection in the window, looking lonely, like a wandering ghost. This thought startled me. Then I looked down again at Noah's underwear. What bad luck! After packing up, I was drowsily scrolling through my phone on the couch, getting ready for the studio's opening. Half asleep, someone banged on the door. Startled, I grabbed a vase as I went to look through the peephole. It was my delightful ex-husband, Noah. Why is he here in the middle of the night? Noah holds his liquor well, but he sure likes to mess with me, remembering how he used to mess with me even though we're divorced. My back felt cold. I pretended to be asleep, even went as far as turning off the lights. After a few minutes, the noise outside stopped. As I reached to turn the lights back on, I heard a click from the lock. The door opened. Noah squinted, his gaze focused on the underwear in my hand. My brain went blank for a second. Do you want to hear my explanation? Noah's eyes were a bit red. Leaning against the door frame, he looked more rational and intellectual, like he wasn't the one I talked to on the phone earlier. He chuckled lightly. Go on. I accidentally packed them while gathering my clothes. I held out the underwear to him. You can take them back. I have a few other things to grab. That's it? I hesitated for a moment. He nodded. The next moment, a strong smell of alcohol hit me. He pinned me against the wall by the door, his voice hot and moist in my ear. Are you really with him? I shook my head. He seemed not to believe it, locking his eyes on mine. You're lying. I was getting impatient. We're divorced. He's cozy with Harvey. We're all settled. So why is he making a scene here? You've had too much to drink. Let me call someone to take you home. Noah paused, but didn't ease his grip. He nibbled on my earlobe, whispering familiarly. Do you need money? 10 million? 20 million? 50 million? As long as you leave him and come back to me. Noah. I lost patience, my face turning cold rapidly. I reminded him. We're already divorced. Divorced. I'm happy with the divorce settlement. I used to lack money so desperately that I'd risk anything for it. Then Noah appeared and gave me a big sum, solving all my problems. Sometimes I'm grateful to him because my life isn't exactly bad, but I never want to go back to that kind of relationship with Noah, because that was another equally frightening predicament. I want freedom. I want to be away from Noah and live well. After a while, Noah finally let me go. He leaned against the door frame, looking a bit dejected, but his eyes were slightly red and shining. I'm the one who proposed divorce, but it seems like you wanted it more than I did. His phone rang at the perfect time, showing a call from Harvey. All my patience vanished at once. I nodded, for the first time not pretending to be reluctant. That's right. He was taken aback, his face turning unpleasant. You don't even pretend anymore? Wait, so he always knew? It seems like you really wanted to get away from me. His amber eyes made my chest tighten. What do you think? I was too tired to respond, pushed him out the door. Too late, you're drunk. It's time to go home. Noah has gotten drunk a few times before. He handles it okay, but he does black out. Tomorrow he won't remember this. Before he left, I heard something from him that kept me up all night. I tossed and turned, his voice echoing in my ear. He cried, Mia, you're still so heartless. In the middle of the night, I messaged Lily. Hey Lily, do you think there's any chance Noah loves me? Lily replied quickly with a picture. The woman in it was Noah's mom and my former friend Harvey. The scene was in a bridal shop, Harvey trying on a wedding dress. The chat box was showing she was typing. I guessed Lily was typing and deleting, trying hard to find comforting words, much like I was at that moment. In the middle of the night, I couldn't find any sign that Noah loved me. Instead, I realized I had feelings for Noah. It was telling me, you're the loser. Fine, that's not a welcome realization. From that day on, Noah and I quietly disappeared from each other's lives, as if by mutual understanding. His rumors with Harvey kept surfacing, and whenever asked, Noah's answers were ambiguous, just showing his wedding ring. I noticed that he never seemed to take it off. He sure keeps up appearances. During this time, I was busy with Jack and Lily, getting the studio almost set up. The 30 days went by quickly, and it was time to finalize things. Noah didn't make a move. I needed to establish my company, so I wanted to settle things like our household registration quickly. So I hesitantly sent Noah a message. Hey. The 30 days were up. Noah didn't reply. I sent 2 more messages, silence. The next day I called Ryan. He awkwardly said Noah was in the office and didn't know why he hadn't replied. I sent 2 more messages, still nothing. The next day I called Ryan again. He awkwardly said Noah was in the office and still didn't know why he hadn't replied. I asked him to transfer the call, and from a distance, I heard the office door closing. Seems like I have to go there myself. Lily heard about this and swore that Noah was talking from behind and even put together an angry woman confronting a jerk outfit for me. She confidently claimed Noah must be regretting, realizing my worth in these days apart, not wanting the divorce anymore. My heart pounded heavily for reasons unknown. Then I casually picked out 2 bags for her. I said, he's actually not bad. At least his taste in bags is pretty good. Lily snapped at me for having no standards, saying she wanted to experience life as a woman with no boundaries. When I arrived, Noah wasn't in the office. Ryan seemed caught off guard by my visit, stammering that Noah had just stepped out to discuss a contract. The computer screen wasn't even turned off. The air conditioning was set at 26 degrees Celsius, and Ryan had a layer of sweat on his forehead. I knew my way around Noah's break room better than Ryan. When I barged in, things weren't quite like I expected. Harvey had her back to me, Noah was sitting on the sofa, and my entrance seemed to disrupt some sort of harmonious vibe they had going on. What are you doing here? Noah was so flustered he even knocked over a water cup on the table. Am I interrupting something? I was wondering why Ryan was stammering so much. Guess I really came at the wrong time. Looks like you are busy. I gripped the crocodile skin bag tightly. Damn, this was also bought by Noah. I just came to remind you that the 30-day cooling off period is over. We can pick a date to finalize the paperwork. Noah's voice instantly turned cold. Get out. Surely he wasn't talking to Harvey, right? Fine, I'll go. Whatever. Not sure why I was so angry, but I turned to reach the doorknob. What's the rush? Before I could grab the handle, Harvey beat me to it with a smile. I came to discuss something with Noah. Couldn't find him outside, so I came in. You 2 talk, Mia. I'm leaving. Harvey's explanation seemed a bit forced. I couldn't figure out what was going on before Noah took a long stride to lock the break room door. It scared me. "What are you doing?" He reached for a cigarette, then seemed to change his mind, giving me a fake smile. "Boss Mia, what's got you stepping down today to grace us?" Seems he heard about me starting a studio, and he's mocking me. Asshole. You keep avoiding. You just wanted me to find you, right? Speak up. I'm busy. And about the divorce papers, you better give me an exact date. If anything, best to take it outside. Locking a break room door in broad daylight might give the wrong impression. With every sentence, my annoyance grew. In hindsight, I have to admire how I managed to put on airs in front of Noah for those 2 years. Noah, perhaps used to seeing me so firm, smiled as he watched me getting mad. "What's got you so fired up today?" I replied instinctively, "None of your business." Noah started moving closer. "Strictly speaking, I'm still your husband." I replied quickly, "Then maybe you shouldn't be so strict, because I haven't been meddling in your private life." "Why didn't I notice you're so sharp-tongued before? When is the paperwork getting done?" I was even more annoyed. After a long pause, Noah crossed his arms and leaned on the edge of the sofa, looking extremely casual and indifferent. Then I heard him say slowly, "I don't want a divorce." I couldn't get the words out that jerk actually kissed me. I slapped him instantly. Noah laughed. Even after being slapped, he seemed perversely relieved, even delighted. I then noticed the bloodshot in his eyes, like he hadn't had a good night's sleep in days. It made me laugh too, adrenaline rushing through me. I could hear my heart racing. Reason? For half a minute, Noah's gaze lingered on my face. Another lengthy silence. Then he spoke. "Star wants to enter the mother-child industry. Being married for 3 years is beneficial, and we could even have a kid. What is marriage to you?" I cut him off, the frantic beating of my heart suddenly subsiding, my words cold. "Your wife, the person beside you for life? Is that how you intend for her to exist?" At some point, he lowered his gaze, fixing on the wedding ring on his finger. "Why not? You've stayed by my side like this for 3 years already." I genuinely think Noah is the worst person I've ever met. "I don't want to," I repeated. "I don't want to." He didn't seem surprised. "Because of that young guy? He's still in college. He might not even support himself. What do you see in him?" This almost sounded like jealousy. Sometimes men's possessiveness is oddly funny, downright unreasonable. "After the divorce, whoever I fancy is my business, even if he's a street vendor." "What's it to you?" Noah chuckled. "A street vendor is at least a decent person. He isn't even that." "Me? President Noah, don't let your possessiveness get too strong." Noah withdrew his gaze from the ring and looked directly at me. "So this is called possessiveness." He laughed. "Sometimes I wonder, if those young guys didn't exist, would you look at me more?" My heart sank. "Leave him alone." Noah chuckled, looking down. After a while, he asked, "Why not me? I'm not bad-looking, wealthier, more capable, and we get along well in that department," I smirked. "That's what you think." Noah's face turned dark instantly, his eyebrows furrowing. "From the looks on your face, I thought you enjoyed it." My ears felt hot, as if wound up like a toy. "I'll say it again. That's what you think. Is that why you don't want a life with me?" "What's wrong? I can change it." "No need. I like someone. Even if he's impotent, I'd still live happily." That was just stubbornness talking. Sex is quite important. Noah snorted. "At the end of the day, you just don't like me?" I hadn't forgotten how Harvey left just moments earlier. The shrill ringtone of my phone interrupted the stalemate between Noah and me. It was Jack. Noah noticed too and let out a mocking chuckle. "It's been so many years, and you still go for these pretty boys. I just don't get what's so great about them." My fingers trembled slightly as they gripped my crocodile skin bag, and I prepared to walk out. At least he knows how to respect people. I'll be waiting for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 10 tomorrow morning. "But I love you." Before I touched the door handle, I thought I was hearing things. Noah repeated it. He said, "But I love you." Can you not go? I didn't reply, pretty much ran out of there. None of it meant anything. I'd already experienced Noah's manipulative ways. What a jerk! The next morning, the sun was merciless. I waited from 10 to 12, but Noah didn't show. I couldn't even reach Ryan this time. I was so mad standing in the sun, I almost passed out. It wasn't until evening that Lily called, saying Jack had been in a car accident. At the hospital, I hurried over to see Jack was still unconscious, pale as a sheet. The doctor said he had 2 broken ribs and a concussion, needed observation, but it wasn't too serious. Lily and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Jack didn't have reliable family, and the police called to say it was a collision between 2 vehicles. The first car had intentionally crashed and belonged to someone rich. They asked if we wanted to settle privately. Lily was furious, saying the world had no justice. She stayed with Jack at the hospital while asking me to go to the station and deal with the driver who hit him. I reassured her it was fine, and if the situation was real, I'd fight for Jack no matter the cost. It was pitch black outside when I hit the road, my hands slick with cold sweat. In Jack, I caught a glimpse of my younger self. Even in this seemingly classless world, money always keeps some folks a step above the rest. At the police station, the officer broke down what happened. The available video showed the car in front deliberately blocking the way and crashing into us. But some footage was missing. The details were still under investigation. Since no one was seriously hurt, the owner of the car in front wanted a quick private payout, offering any sum. My composed demeanor vanished the second I saw Noah, unharmed, sitting nearby. And Harvey was right beside him. She was calmly wiping sweat from Noah's forehead, gently reprimanding him, saying, "Noah, with the wedding coming up, why are you acting so immature? What if this gets out?" Noah was unusually silent. Their easy camaraderie didn't even notice me, the one dealing with the accident. "No need to dig deeper," I told the officer coldly. "I know what's up. Last year, we abruptly lost a deal, and soon after, the CEO of that rival company was ousted because of a scandal involving a mistress. He couldn't handle it, had a stroke at 2 a.m., and died. When I first heard, Noah remarked, "Lucky him." I always knew about his ruthless business moves, but forgot he could hold a grudge. Yeah, handling a college kid with no connections was nothing to a guy like him. He didn't love me, but men do have that possessive streak. Over the years, I never really knew him well until Noah finally turned to me. A few minutes had passed when he looked pale, slightly surprised. "What are you doing here?" I turned to the officer and said, "We refused the settlement." Suddenly, there was a tug on my clothes, and Noah was right in front of me, frowning. "Don't make a scene." A surge of intense disgust bubbled up inside me, gripping me from within. I took a couple of steps back, noticing Harvey's surprised glance too. "What do you want? Don't want a divorce? Is that it?" Noah's hair was a mess. His eyes sparkled with a bit of confused joy. "You're agreeing not to divorce me, sure?" I laughed. "If that's what you want, what does my wish matter? You could tie me up if you like. I'd have no choice but to comply. Or you could extend our contract until you finish what you want to do. Same pay as before. And with Miss Harvey back, I'm off sleepover duty, right?" I repeated, and Noah's face paled even more. "Did you misunderstand something about me?" There was a lot I didn't know about him, but in some ways, no one knew him better than I did. "What's there to misunderstand about you?" I definitely owed him from my toughest times, so I had no right to say I wished I'd never met him. "But Noah, you can be pretty disgusting sometimes." I wasn't even yelling, just calmly laying it out. After saying it, a rush of relief brought tears to my eyes. I was done. 3 years of pretending were enough. All the pretense and nonsense could roll away with Noah. Noah stood there, motionless, lips slightly parted but silent, while Harvey spoke up for him. "Mia, that was harsh." I casually replied, "You two, back in Colombia, I always thought you two were a match. So what was that prideful act for back then? Had to wait until now to meddle in someone else's marriage. Look at us now, feeling like we've just swallowed crap. It's disgusting." Harvey wasn't used to me being so blunt and turned bright red for a second. "Mia, isn't that a bit overboard?" I smiled. "Pretend in front of him all you want, but what's there to pretend in front of me?" "Enough," Noah cut in sharply. He couldn't stand me insulting Harvey. In a long silence, Noah finally spoke coolly. "I won't force you. If you really want the divorce that much, then I will." For some reason, lingering in his eyes, I saw a hint of grievance. Why would he feel wronged? Today I didn't message him because I was swamped all day. And then there was the accident in the evening. That's for the best. I was in a hurry to reply, though I didn't really know why I was rushing. Whenever you want to get a divorce, just let me know. I've got all the time in the world. After saying that, I glanced at Noah's face. I figured he must be pretty upset with me. Maybe it's better this way for both of us. Just as I was about to leave the hallway, Noah approached me from behind. I have a question for you. I didn't turn around, but I could feel the chill in his tone. If back then Lucas hadn't gotten seriously ill and you weren't desperate for money, would you have even considered being with me? I stopped in my tracks. Lucas, we were never together, I said. From the beginning to the end, I just married you. We were never truly together. I thought I could be strong, but hearing Lucas's name brought a wave of overwhelming sadness, suffocating me. This suffocating feeling made me leave the police station quickly. By the time I got back to the hospital, Jack was still unconscious. Lily said it wasn't a big deal, and I should go home and come back tomorrow for my shift. Feeling guilty, I nodded, unsure of how to face Jack when he woke up. Tossing and turning all night, I couldn't sleep. After popping 2 sleeping pills, I drifted into dreams about so many things. When I was 10, my parents fought endlessly over their divorce. The worst part was when they were in the car on the highway, and I heard my dad on the phone, exchanging the most vicious words amid my cries. Then, everything went eerily silent. There was a car accident on the highway that day, and at 10 years old, I had to face the harsh reality of being an orphan. I had no grandparents, no aunts or uncles, and my only relative, my grandmother, refused to take me in because I looked too much like my dad. That winter, with biting cold winds, I was taken in by my neighbor's child, Lucas. Lucas's parents were kind-hearted folks. Despite not being related, they took care of me with so much love. They gave me clean, warm clothes, styled my hair, and even set up a little room for me in their small house. Lucas and I went to school together, came home together, and ate together. His family was poor, but his parents were so proud, saying they had both a son and a daughter. I had a wonderful time living with Lucas's family. Looking back years later, I truly understood what happiness meant. At 15, Lucas and I both got into a top high school. Lucas's parents were so happy they got us each a phone so we could stay in touch while boarding. That summer, they rewarded themselves by going to a nearby city to work even harder and earn more money. At 18, I got a call on my old school flip phone that Lucas's parents had died in a work accident. Every time I think about that call, it terrifies me. At 18, Lucas lost his parents, and at 18, I lost my parents for the second time. Lucas and I were childhood sweethearts, relying on each other. We had hugged, leaned on each other, wiped away tears, and shared a cup of instant noodles. That summer, Lucas held on to the compensation money and kept a roof over our heads. At 22, Lucas and I both got scholarships to study abroad for our masters. In that glitzy country, I met a lot of rich people. The international students were wealthy, as were the local students. Lucas and I stood out with our poverty, but we had a passion that fueled everything. Lucas said he'd pursue astrophysics and become an outstanding astrophysicist. He believed the universe had endless dimensions, time travel was possible, and stars were countless. He wanted to go back to that winter when we roasted chestnuts as a family. Those chestnuts tasted so sweet. I said I wanted to continue studying finance, make a ton of money, so Lucas could reach for the stars with his feet on solid ground. That year, Columbia University had scenic views outside its windows, and we had bright futures ahead. I was lucky and got a dorm room. Harvey was my roommate, the first friend I made abroad. Her family was well off, yet she never distanced herself because of my status. I considered her my best female friend that year. I got to know Noah better when he repeatedly handed me double snacks, lunches, and gifts. Harvey mentioned they weren't really close before school. Their families had business ties, and Noah's family hoped they'd marry. But she had someone she liked. I remember he was tall and skinny, not rich. Didn't seem special, but Harvey liked him. Or maybe she liked that she couldn't easily win him over. Back then, Noah was even more charismatic. He'd often jump in front of me with double treats, not saying much. I knew one was for Harvey, the other was his way of thanking me. He was quite handsome. Not many guys had such fair skin, red lips, white teeth, tall and lively. Yet, studying in the library, he was calm and mature. Actually, long before this, we had another encounter that lingered in my dreams for several nights. It was a pretty ordinary evening when I was waiting for Lucas after class. I had two burgers from outside campus that night was a bit out of the ordinary too. I had nothing but those two burgers because I got mugged while buying them and lost all my cash. The safety abroad isn't as good as people think. I couldn't tell Lucas. He'd give me all his living expenses, work more jobs, and care more about me than himself. I was sitting on a bench near the school, a spot where not many people pass by. I was cursing out those hooligans abroad in my hometown dialect for about half an hour. I swore that one day I'd make a fortune and lock those little punks away to do hard labor every day. In the end, I ate both burgers. Nobody would know how much trouble my mouth could get me into abroad. The burgers were delicious. After finishing, I finally heard a chuckle behind me. That was the first time I met Noah, a moment just for us. He didn't say much, just smiled at me. He was broad-shouldered with a narrow waist, wearing a white tee. When he stood before me, light spilled around him. He seemed a bit above it all. Then I saw him casually pull out a wad of cash from his wallet. Yet, the way he handed it to me wasn't flashy. I'd never seen something like that. His voice came from the front. At that time, all I could see was his back and his hair lifted by the breeze. He said, "You're pretty cool for eating two burgers alone." Later, I remembered that scene for a long time. After that, Noah would often show up in front of me, bringing various foods and gifts. I passed them all to Harvey, along with some unclear excitement I was feeling. Things changed in the winter of the second year. I was downstairs with my laptop, witnessing the aftermath of an argument between Noah and Harvey. It was rare for Harvey to be so unrestrained. She told Noah to give up. She said she wouldn't have anything to do with him, even if she rotted at home, that he was the most distasteful, disgusting person she'd met. I was at the doorway, caught in a dilemma, watching Harvey slam the door. And Noah stood there in the night. It wasn't until I passed by him that his eyes showed a flicker. I thought Harvey's words must have really hurt him, considering he liked her. It was one of our few conversations. I said, maybe Harvey was under pressure from her family. She wasn't usually so bad-tempered. Noah lowered his eyes and handed me something. His tone was cold. Her temper has nothing to do with me. He said it wasn't related, but he still handed me two burgers. I understood everything by then. Noah didn't stop sending things. A week later, Harvey mentioned the incident again. She felt a bit guilty for misunderstanding Noah, but the overwhelming joy she was feeling distracted her from that guilt because she was in love. She was giddy with the sweetness of it all. She casually mentioned Noah, saying he probably didn't like her either, and was only acting friendly because of family pressure. I don't really get those high society marriage arrangements. Only the latter part hit me hard, like a bolt. She said she knew. I had told her about that night, the one under the starlit sky, when someone was there. It was Noah. I felt like the biggest fool, scrambling to explain myself. But she just nodded encouragingly. She said, maybe if we truly had a connection, it could relieve some pressure from her home life too. That night, I tossed and turned in bed. Harvey's love was pretty open, known by everyone, but Noah still occasionally sent things my way. Finally, there was a time when I questioned why he kept giving me things. This time, Noah didn't stay silent. His eyes darted around. The sun made his face blush as he said, "Just take it." Why worry about why? His words were ambiguous, but somehow I didn't refuse. On the way back to the dorm, the wind felt so free, so warm. After that day, whether by coincidence or intention, I often saw Noah around. Sometimes we'd chat a little, and it made my heart flutter. His gifts ranged from burgers to milk he brought back from trips, not always fresh. Then there were two white scarves, and finally, a small bunch of red tulips. I'd never felt so nervous in my life. Before Noah could say anything, I fled. I wandered in the cold wind for hours. I thought about a lot of things. The starry night, my relationship with Harvey, the gap between Noah and me, my turbulent past, and my future. When I went upstairs, Harvey wasn't home. There was no message from Noah, only a text from Harvey saying she wouldn't be back that night. The next day's sunshine was so bright. I still remember the excitement when I held that bunch of red tulips, and the meaning of red tulips, a passionate confession. But I didn't see Noah. Messages sent out, never got a reply. Noah and Harvey both disappeared. Half a month later, I got a message from Harvey asking me to pick her up from a party. At that party, Noah sat at the center of a round table, facing the door, surrounded by people from their circle. The waiters served carefully, and from the lavish menu and casual conversations, the gap between us was stark. That meal made me very uncomfortable. Noah saw me, but there wasn't any emotion in his eyes. Harvey sat beside him. I tried to speak several times, but no sound came out. Harvey drank a lot that night. In the car, she cried her heart out, saying her family was in trouble, running out of funds, and her beloved boyfriend had abandoned her without a trace. She couldn't believe he only loved her money. She said a lot that night. Finally, she said her family and she had given in, agreeing to the marriage alliance. She kept apologizing, saying she was desperate, didn't want to see her father's life's work ruined. People from my background can't understand how terrifying it is for those high up to fall. I'm already calm. Honestly, none of this really matters. While I was taking a break from eating, I overheard the people next door smoking in the hallway. They're Noah's friends, chatting here and there about bits and pieces, but somehow it made my mind incredibly clear. They said Noah's really slick with the ladies, a knight in shining armor, when it matters most. They also said that no woman can watch her sister with her ex-crush and feel nothing. There's rivalry between women too. Then they started saying, I'm biting off more than I can chew and don't know my place. Finally, I heard Noah's voice. He casually said, don't talk about it. He told them to stop talking, but he didn't deny it. He was always there. I dreamt up to this point, and I couldn't tell if it was real or not. My heart hurt like hell. The scene switched quickly. It was right before graduation. Another nightmare. By then, Harvey, Noah, and I hadn't spoken in ages. I was kneeling beneath the white walls of a hospital, praying, hoping Lucas would be okay. Lucas was 24 that year. He collapsed while eating with me before he even touched the ribs he had given me from his plate. His most promising moment in life was sentenced to death on the spot. Acute leukemia is expensive. I borrowed all the money I could, but it wasn't nearly enough to cover the medical bills. Medical costs are high in a foreign place, and Lucas couldn't afford any delay. I watched him wither away day by day before my eyes, and the pain was unbearable. Lucas and I grew up together, sticking by each other. If I could, I'd exchange my life for his without a second thought. I remember vividly, it was raining hard that day. The hospital was bustling. I knelt before those white walls. Noah's black pant hems lit up in front of me. He still looked down at me, still noble and lofty. He didn't help me up, but instead knelt in front of me and asked if I'd consider marrying him if he could pay Lucas's medical bills. I didn't hesitate or doubt for a second. As long as there was money to save Lucas, nothing else mattered. But Lucas still passed. At 24, I lost for the third time. Did I just lose Lucas? I guess not. It feels like I lost everything. I often have nightmares where Lucas is a mere skeleton, lying on my lap, asking if I want some sweet chestnuts. I'm caught in overwhelming fear and the lack of security brought on by financial shortage. Sometimes I wake up beside Noah, quietly crying. Because we were poor, my parents fought endlessly and eventually perished in a car crash on the highway. To earn an extra $30 a day, Lucas's parents went with some shoddy construction crew. Since he was afraid to spend money, Lucas felt unwell countless times, but never dared visit a hospital. When he finally left, the foreign land poured with rain, and he didn't even get to see a single star. But if I had money, could I have saved everything? Probably not. Yet I keep tirelessly chasing money. Money. It seems to give the faintest sense of reality. I woke up at 4 o'clock, the sky faintly lightening, and found a message from Lily. She said Jack woke up not long after I left and told me not to worry. Everything's fine now. Below was a message from Ryan. He mentioned some extra clauses in the divorce agreement and said Noah gave me even more assets. Staring at Noah's firm signature, my chest felt tight. I replied with a simple, okay, this time we really reached the end. Ryan responded quickly, asking why I hadn't slept yet. I shot back, no need to persuade, I've made up my mind. The chat window showed he was typing, and after 2 minutes he said, Noah is in the hospital too. I quickly typed, he deserves it. Ryan then asked, Mia, from past to present, haven't you ever had a thing for Noah? Seeing this, I knew who was on the other end. I replied, no, whether I did or didn't doesn't matter now. After a while, Ryan messaged, I hope you find happiness. Noah and I completed the procedures smoothly. We barely saw each other in a rushed glance. He looked a bit thinner, everything about him sharper. Jack was young, and small injuries heal quickly, but it takes 100 days for bones and tendons in those 2 to 3 months. I was extra busy. Winter came, and news about Noah was everywhere. Something about him and Harvey getting engaged. Sometimes I'd find myself daydreaming, staring at the snow outside. My thoughts drifted back to that rainy Manhattan day. It was a once-in-a-century rainstorm. Noah's hair was soaked in the hospital. Recently, I kept dreaming of that scene. In late winter, I visited Lucas. His grave was clean with 2 burgers placed there. I couldn't think of anyone else visiting him. Next to Lucas was a young girl's grave. Her mom often visits her. As I was leaving, I ran into her after a brief chit-chat. She asked, didn't come with your husband today? I froze on the spot. Who? He said. His name is Noah. Isn't he your husband? I saw him yesterday. Those words struck like lightning. Back home, Jack and Lily had prepared a feast, but I didn't taste anything. Jack seemed hesitant. Finally, while Lily was washing dishes, Jack spoke up. Mia, I got the accident report from the police. Are you thinking of suing Noah? Considering he's just a college student, some fear is understandable. I reassured him, don't worry, I'll handle everything, and I promised him a resolution. Jack looked puzzled. He asked, why sue? I looked down and said, he made a mistake. He should face the consequences. Jack was silent for a long time, then asked, are you confused about something? He said that running into Noah on the road was a total coincidence. The only reason he ended up in front of him was because a truck ahead almost tipped over. I wasn't at the scene, so I didn't know the details. These words froze me in my chair and had Lily rushing out from the kitchen, brandishing a spatula. She yelled that Jack must have hit his head, insisting Noah couldn't possibly be that kind-hearted. Jack shrugged helplessly, saying things were complicated back then. Our misjudgment was understandable. Lily's spatula now seemed a bit out of place. She gave me a few nudges before I finally snapped out of it. She said we had wrongly blamed my ex-husband. My palms were sweaty just as a notification came through on my phone. It said Noah and Harvey were getting engaged the next day and it'd be a grand affair. I said flatly that I wouldn't press charges and that I'd go withdraw the case. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Early the next morning, I headed to a scenic spot in the neighboring city. I turned off all notifications on my phone, doing nothing but sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window in a seaside villa, watching the snow. I roasted a bunch of chestnuts for myself, but they never tasted as sweet as that winter when I first came to Lucas's house. On the 4th morning, I returned to the studio to countless messages and many missed calls from Noah. But before I could check them, an unexpected visitor showed up. Harvey. I didn't think her visit would be anything welcome. As I passed by her, I was the first to speak. Congratulations on the wedding. Harvey looked shocked. You didn't know? Noah didn't show up on the engagement day. My steps halted suddenly, my heart skipping a beat. So, are you here to settle scores? I'm returning to the US. Harvey seemed unusually calm today, and I couldn't quite grasp her intentions. There's no need to tell me this, I said. We aren't friends anymore. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, whether then or now, but Mia, she paused, I don't regret it. I had no choice. All these years, she hadn't changed. Everyone who makes mistakes has their reasons. Are you done? I didn't want to argue moving forward. You can leave now. I'm here to tell you, all this time, Noah and I weren't together. That's got nothing to do with me. My mind was a mess, growing more so, filling me with frustration. It matters, Mia. Whether then or now, he's always liked you. You're really confusing. I didn't want to entangle myself any further, letting her say whatever she wanted. Back then, I told him you had a boyfriend. Her voice was light. Snow fell outside the window. Silence filled the room, a deathly silence. I suddenly remembered, after the humiliating banquet, Noah came looking for me once. That was the first time Lucas met Noah. Lucas and I grew up together, like family, like siblings. Crying in his arms was a common thing when I was upset, and there was Noah, not far away. And when I lifted my head from Lucas's arms, our eyes met. It was one of the rare times I saw an unreadable expression on Noah's face. That was the day after that banquet. That was also the first time I learned Noah smoked. He stubbed out his cigarette before speaking, his voice hoarse, asking, "Is he your boyfriend?" Lucas instinctively pulled me behind him defensively, and I stepped around to face Noah. When danger approached, it was understood we'd protect each other. After a long moment of silence, Noah laughed. "I can't do anything to you? Do I seem that bad?" "Yes," I replied without hesitation. He looked down, his eyes obscured. That was where we left it. Thinking back, I realize how vividly I remember the look on his face. I no longer recall how Harvey left. I spent the whole morning staring blankly at the snow outside my office window. I wasn't sure. I just kept thinking back, remembering the years we were entangled. Our first meeting at Columbia University, when he saved me from a tight spot that night, it was our secret. Later on, he became something I couldn't fully grasp. That banquet left me bitter towards him. The hospital's dark white walls left me nowhere to hide. But countless times in the last 3 years, thinking back to that day, I couldn't quite pin down my feelings. I did like Noah. I did. The snow fell for 2 days. On the first clear morning, I took some chestnuts to visit Lucas. When lost, I'd always have Lucas by my side. Even now, I seek him out when I'm confused. Every time I go to see him, he's there. At this time, I also ran into the mother of the little girl next door. She greeted me warmly as usual and said, "Your husband is visiting today too." I looked up to see a black figure squatting at Lucas's grave. My heart inexplicably started pounding faster. The ground was clear of snow, and as I got closer, I could hear Noah talking. Even at the grave, he kept his voice light. "I've visited you so many times. Have you tried to persuade her in her dreams? You can't just take and not give. I heard you liked burgers." With a natural gesture, he brushed the snow off Lucas's grave with his sleeve. "Brother-in-law, do you not like the taste? But I think you can't persuade her. Maybe she's into a new guy now. I don't even know if she'd take me back." He paused, his eyes dimming. How could I be so dumb? You two obviously don't match. She and I are the real deal. Sorry, I always thought you were the cute guy. But you probably don't mind. I'm pretty easy to get along with, right? He's got a thick skin. So, what do you think? Do you think I still have a chance? Would she take me back? He asked. I really think I was pretty stupid. I'll never do that again. In the photo, Lucas had that gentle smile. He didn't reply, only the cold wind answered after the first snow stung my eyes. After a moment of silence, he suddenly looked up. I saw it that day. I saw her comment that there was still a chance. Brother-in-law, she does like me. I was too dense to see it. He picked up that bunch of red tulips by his side and waved them with pride. These flowers aren't for you. I just came to see you. Tell me, will I succeed? If you think I will, just blink. I won't be scared. I finally couldn't hold back. My voice was choking up. I said, "Are you some kind of idiot?" Noah didn't move, but I noticed his hand holding the tulips was trembling slightly. Maybe the wind was too cold. I barely said anything and broke down crying. He stiffly turned his head and sighed heavily. Awkwardly, he tried to wipe my tears. I asked, "Have you missed me? Do you have lots you want to say?" The guy who just couldn't stop talking went silent. A long silence followed, and those beautiful eyes turned red. I turned away. "If you have nothing to say, then forget it." But he suddenly caught up, pulling me into his arms. His voice choked with emotion, mingling with the howling cold wind. "Careful?" He asked, "Do you still like red tulips?" From the moment I was born, I had plenty. A big house, a fleet of bodyguards, endless money, and countless envies. My dad was tough in business, and my mom boldly navigated finance. They barely spent any time with me. In my childhood, I didn't even have friends. Always surrounded by tall bodyguards and busy yet not so busy caretakers. At 6, I won my first competition prize. It was the first birthday, with both parents around. When they asked what I wanted, I bravely said I wanted to be with them always for our family of 3. After I spoke, no one answered for a long time. The room went quiet. Suddenly, my birthday returned to the usual buzz, like my wish never existed. Little did I know at 6, being born from a loveless union labeled me a disgrace to both of them. They never fought in front of me, not to spare my feelings, but because they didn't want to see each other. The first time I asked for love and attention came out in my losing my parents and home swiftly. Afterward, I was sent to live with my grandpa, strictly trained as an heir. At 10, when I excelled, I asked for a reward to vacation with a new friend from school. He was the son of the school's gatekeeper, not attending my private school, always in worn clothes, sharing fresh perspectives with me. The day after, I was never to see that friend again. The gatekeeper was gone at 10. I didn't cry over family conflicts like a 6-year-old. I just stopped expressing love or needs. My growth went smoothly. High school, university, countless air training sessions, a master's degree in the US. One ordinary night, out of nowhere, my mom posted about her joyful and treacherous late pregnancy. The woman in the photo looked different, cradling a new baby with a love I only saw in movies, never felt personally. It was after 2 sleepless days, rushing a deadline, and it was my birthday. At a bench near school, counting Manhattan lights, I felt a bit sad. A girl sat behind me. I swear, in over 20 years, I'd never encountered such a straightforward girl. Countless socialites faked niceness to get close, but she sat quietly, cursing delinquents. An odd skill, she cursed loudly and for long, and I had patience. I even sensed the warmth of her presence. She ate 2 burgers, a simple joy my old friend talked about. She could curse and enjoy cheap food freely, like pure bliss. The Manhattan lights looked like starlight on her face. Words failed to describe the moment. It was like witnessing a free soul. I left her cash and saw her shocked face. Said the least wise compliment of my life. As I walked away, I heard her say, "Happy birthday." She raised the cake I'd left. That night, something ordinary turned special. I started noticing her frequently, finding her immensely beautiful and adorable, especially when eating. It was comforting, yet heart-racing. She carried a vibrant energy. To me, it was irresistibly attractive. Meanwhile, my family pushed me towards Harvey, a marriage ally. I saw no point in retracing failed steps, especially since I was sure I had someone I truly liked. I really liked someone. I started buying her food a lot, gifts, all in pairs. Every time she uncertainly accepted them, I felt accomplished. Back then, I didn't understand that loving someone was like taking care of a flower. You always worry if it's cold, if it's hot, if it's hungry, or too full. Giving her food had become a habit, my daily homework. Then one day, while waiting for her outside her dorm, I ran into Harvey by chance. I had heard rumors that she liked someone. She hysterically cursed me, saying she'd never be with me no matter what. By then, I had already told my grandpa that I would never marry for alliance, but her words made me dislike her. I thought she was crazy. Mia cursing, though, was charming. Later, I read a saying, "Love feels deeper because of differences." That night, she unexpectedly said 2 words to me, comforting me. I was thrilled inside, but dared not show it. The pain of childhood is always an immense gap to bridge, but I was sure she was worth it. Spring came quietly, and I loved seeing the blush on her cheeks. I finally gathered my courage. They say red tulips symbolize a passionate confession. The sun was just right that day. But she said nothing. Only when she saw the tulips did panic cross her face. I watched her flee, feeling frozen all over. That night, I was urgently called back home. Harvey's family had financial issues, and Grandpa's condition was marriage. That was the first time I disobeyed my elders. And I got my first severe beating for it. I broke a rib, and my phone was taken. I had never felt so anxious. After half a month in bed, I rushed back to Columbia University. At the campus gate, I saw she was with someone good. Harvey appeared at the perfect moment. She said, "You're confused why she ran off without a word when you had flowers? That's your answer." I saw her with them, laughing and joking. I had never felt such an ache inside. She went on, "All those times you bought her 2 servings, she gave them all to me. Never ate a bite. That guy? Lucas, Mia's boyfriend. They were childhood friends, deeply in love. So your best option is still me." I don't remember how I left that day, just lost. That night at a party, I saw her again. Speaking was the hardest then, but a fire burned within, unsettled. I thought until I heard from her it wouldn't be an answer. Of course, I'll always remember that day. I recall her wary look, disgusted face, and certain answer. I still refuse to marry Harvey. Some people make others seem like just settling. I still think of her often and resent her. It's a mix of emotions, but every time I pass that bench, I sit. I guess she didn't do anything wrong. She just didn't like me. Later on, it was a summer just before graduation. Under the hospital's white walls, I saw her trembling in tears. If you've ever loved someone, you'd know your beloved's tears are the most blistering thing in the world. It rained heavily that day. I didn't hesitate. Even if it seemed like taking advantage, I knew acute leukemia has a low cure rate. He was gone. I feared her struggling alone. This was my second time defying elders. I feared her struggling alone. This was my second time defying elders. It cost me 2 ribs this time, but thanks to the first, I was used to it. Plus, I had a wife now. When taking wedding photos, I glanced at her carefully. She didn't seem happy, but she smiled in the end. I was happy. It felt like a dream. I thought we might have a new beginning, without Lucas, Harvey, or any complicated past. When it came to intimacy, she initiated it. Wow, it's really nice and addictive. I always felt we love each other then. 2 months into marriage, we seemed okay. She learned how to tie my tie. She didn't love to sleep in, but loved staying in bed. Pulling her out to tie my tie, looking at her messy hair and on-tiptoe stance, it truly felt like she was my wife. On our 100th day, I bought a bouquet of tulips. Returning with the tulips, I found her watching a movie on the couch. When she lifted her head and saw the flowers, her expression soured. She didn't take the tulips. She said there was no need for things to be that way between us, and she no longer liked red tulips. That night, she called Lucas's name multiple times in her dreams. She woke up in the middle of the night, her pillow wet with tears. I wanted to hug her, but before I could, she shrank to the other side of the bed. Half a year into marriage, she learned to hide her feelings, feigning joy. She didn't want to see the northern lights in Switzerland with me, or the snowy mountains in western Sichuan, or hold hands at the world's end. Seems like, besides money, she didn't enjoy much else about me. 2 years into marriage, she still called Lucas's name in her dreams, and I learned to conceal my feelings gradually too. By the end of the 3rd year, on Lucas's death anniversary, she drank herself into a stupor. She said she missed Lucas. I asked, "What about Noah?" She said, Noah was the person she hated most in the world. That night, the breeze on the balcony snuffed out all my cigarettes. I scrolled through her rather sparse updates. One read, "Love isn't something that can be forced." Indeed, feeling love is often unavoidable. So is not feeling it. Our contract ended, and so did we. That morning, I proposed a divorce. She couldn't hide her delight. Harvey sidled up. Pressured by my family, I had some polite interactions with her. I didn't even get a chance to explain. But she quickly resolved all the rumors. She quickly had someone new by her side. And that person, if you looked closely, had some resemblance to Lucas. She was very protective of him. My jealousy drove me mad. I was still holding on. Until that car accident, when we met at the police station, she said I made her sick. I couldn't even argue. I was afraid that even speaking up would disgust her. Maybe some things really can't be forced. I let her go, agreed to the engagement arranged by my family. If it's not her, maybe anyone would be the same. I visited Lucas a few times. At his grave, I said I was actually easy to please. I just wanted her to have a bit of affection for me. It was a windy day, and I brought Lucas 2 burgers. On the way down the hill, my phone pinged with a notification from an old app. That account only had her. It was a notice syncing with her comment update. I do. Attached was a picture of the tulips I first gave her at Columbia University. No one knew how I felt then. I wanted to kiss Lucas's tombstone. After breaking off the engagement with Harvey, she seemed calm. She asked me if I would still choose Mia. I said no. She was never a choice. I guess I've never been that good at loving someone. But I've always been certain. Harvey was silent for a long time and then suddenly laughed. At that moment, I saw a sense of relief in her eyes. She told me many things from a long time ago. That day, my heart was like a jar of butterflies spilling over, vibrant and colorful. 3 days without any word from her were torturous. I searched everywhere and finally came to talk to Lucas. Then she appeared. Just like back then, I turned around, and there she was standing behind me, red coat, white scarf. Luckily, she still liked red tulips. After that, year after year, red tulips bloomed in the house, never fading. The night before the wedding, I opened the message board. A long time ago, that was how we communicated. I opened a small account with just one person in the list. Naturally, I clicked into the space while lying on the bed. I saw messages left by the account owner to themselves. November 12th, 2014. Wow, how can a girl eat 2 burgers at once? She's awesome. November 12th, 2014. She looks so beautiful. Det does, dear. February 24th, 2015. Met her again? What's that on her eyes? In the sunlight, it sparkled like a peacock. So impressive. March 18th, 2015. Saw her in Switzerland. The red coat looks great. A white scarf would be perfect, though. Isn't it cold with just a coat? April 5th, 2015. Hey, she accepted my 2 burgers. April 18th, 2015. I think I like her. I like her. April 20th, 2017. She said the milk went bad. It was my gift from Switzerland. I didn't want to drink it, so I saved it for her. Wow, she can taste spoiled milk just like that. April 24th, 2015. She's shy. Must have been dazzled by my charm. April 30th, 2015. Why has she lost weight? May 3rd, 2015. She can tell apart lettuce from bok choy. That's impressive. May 19th, 2015. I want to be with her. I want to be with her. May 19th, 2015. Does she have feelings for me? May 19th, 2015. When we get married, I'll build her a snack room filled with treats for portions. May 19th, 2015. After we have kids, I'll get 5. Let's have 2 daughters, not sons, but if they look like her, having one is fine. May 19th, 2015. I'll buy her lots of red coats because she looks good in them. May 19th, 2015. Where should we hold the wedding? Feels like she'd like Switzerland. May 19th, 2015. Honeymoon could be in Switzerland too. May 19th, 2015. Can't sleep, so excited. May 20th, 2015. Heartbroken. May 20th, 2015. He's such a delicate-looking guy. Doesn't seem great in any way. May 21st, 2015. Turns out the stuff I bought, she didn't eat any of it. Bold. Daring Mia. May 30th, 2015. The master said it. Scorpio and Taurus are more compatible. Capricorn doesn't work. June 14th, 2015. Oh, read it wrong. Capricorn and Taurus are more compatible. Ridiculous. This zodiac stuff, all lies. June 20th, 2015. Mia, I won't forgive you. June 25th, 2015. I won't forgive you. July 20th, 2015. No, I still need to ask, how am I not as good as that guy? July 21st, 2015. She's afraid of me. July 21st, 2015. Forget it. Then a 2-year hiatus. July 4th, 2017. Wow, why is she crying so sadly? Is that guy better than me? Also, I haven't forgiven her. So, August 15th, 2017. She said she wanted burgers. I bought 2 again. September 20th, 2017. Not sure if this is right. We definitely will be happy. October 25th, 2017. Red coats still look good. October 28th, 2017. Dreamed she changed her mind. November 12th, 2017. Snack room is done now. Almost there. 2 kids' rooms too. November 20th, 2017. Tomorrow I'm getting married. To her. When I finished reading, it was 11:58. I wiped away my tears and typed into the message box. May 6th, 2021. Silly, I'm marrying you tomorrow. Come get me early, bring a burger. Make it 2, don't let me be hungry.